So doing operations in other bases is pretty much exactly similar to doing operations in base 10. The only thing is, instead of bundles of 10, when we make exchanges, we're going to have bundles of whatever that base is. So if we're working with base 5, for example, every time we have 5 in a particular place value, we exchange it for one of the next place value. Or if we're borrowing, conversely, if we need to borrow one from another place value, we would trade that in for 5 instead of for 10. Okay, so whatever base we're dealing with, that's how we're bundling things or exchanging things. Okay, if we're in base 10, we're exchanging 10 of whatever place value we're in. If we're in base 5, then we're exchanging bundles of 5, or we're exchanging for a bundle of 5. So let's take a look at addition. Let's do 134 base 5 plus 210 base 5 equals something in base 5. And this would be a subscript like here. I just couldn't fit it in this little corner. So it would be off to this, down and to the side of whatever our answer is. So let's figure this out. Now, the really nice thing about doing operations within the same base is there's no conversions since we're working in this same base. So we don't really have to worry about converting anything, which is really nice. Typically, we would write out our values here, and we still can. Like, of course, we care about them, right? If we're in base 5, we're dealing with powers of 5. So 5 to the 0 is 1, 5 to the first is 5, and 5 squared is 25. And I could keep going with it. And of course, we care about those, but since we're not converting anything, we don't really have to worry about them. We're aware of them. We don't have to worry about them. So I'm going to use I'm going to call them unit strips and mats, but I'm going to use my base 5 blocks here. Okay, so I've got my 25 block, I've got my 5 rod, and my 1's cube, all right? So if I look at this, I have 134, so that means I have 1 mat, 3 strips, and you could use unit strips and mats as well, and 4 units. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now to that, I need to add 2 mats, 1 strip, and no units. Oh, no units. What am I doing? Okay, so now that I've added all that together, okay, I'm going to look and see, okay, are there 5 or more of anything that I need to do to make exchanges? And if I look in each place value, I have 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3. So there's no exchanging I have to do, right? If I were in base 10, if I had 10 ones, I would bundle those and exchange them for a strip. But I'm in base 5, so I'm looking for groups of 5, but I don't have any groups of 5. Everything is less than 5, so I don't have to make any exchanges. So since I'm not converting, all I have to do is count. 1, 2, 3. So I have 3 mats. 1, 2, 3, 4 strips, and 1, 2, 3, 4 units. So the answer is 344 base 5. So it's really nice when you don't have to convert and when you do everything within the same base. There's no conversions that I have to do here. Let's look at another example. Okay, so now let's look at a subtraction. 312 base 5 minus 142 base 5. What's that going to give me? And I'm staying in base 5. So I'm going to start with my 312. So that means I have 3 mats. There they are. 1 strip and 2 units. Okay. So now from that, I'm going to move this up so you guys can see. I need to take away 1 mat, 4 strips, and 2 units. So I'm going to start with my units placed just like I would if I were in base 10. So I need to take away 2 of those. Okay. That leaves me with 0 here. Now I need to take away 4 of my 5 rods, my strips here, okay? However, I only have 1, so I now need to make an exchange, okay? I need to take 1 of my 25 mats and trade it for 5 of my rods, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to exchange it for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of those, okay? That's how many there are since we're in base 5. So I'm exchanging this for 5 of these. And now I can take away 4 of them, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, okay? And then 1 mat, 125 mat. Okay, so that leaves me with my answer. So I have one mat, 2 strips, and no units. Okay, so my answer would be 120 base 5. Right, so whatever base you're dealing with, it's the same idea. You're still making exchanges. The only difference is now you're making exchanges for when you have, so if you're in base 5, for example, 5 or more in any particular place value. Right, when we were in base 10, if we had 10 or more, we had to exchange. Well, in base 5, if we have 5 or more, we have to exchange, but it's the same exact idea. Okay, if we were in base 6, it would be if we had 6 or more, then we'd have to make an exchange. Same idea. So now let's take a look using place value cards. So now let's take a look at this using our place value cards. I'm dealing with base 4 here. So I've got 132 base 4 plus 210 base 4 equals something base 4. And I put the base 4 blocks up here just so you could see what place value I was in. Okay, so these are my units, my strips, and my mats. As you can see, I've got 1 unit, and then my next place value would have a value of 4, and then my next place value would be 4 squared, right? 4 by 4, so it would have a value of 16. All right, I just wanted you to see these so that you knew what base I was in. However, I'm going to be doing this with place value cards. So 132 base 4, that would mean I'd have 1 of these. Okay, I have 1 in my mat place value, then 3 of these, and then of course 2 of these. And to that, I'm adding 210 base 4. So 2 here, 1, 2, 1 here, and nothing here. So since I'm in base 4, I can calculate my answer, but I need to check to see if there are any exchanges that I have to make, because remember, since I'm in base 4, if I have 4 or more in any of these place values, I need to bundle them together and make an exchange. So I only have 2 here, so I don't have to do any exchanges here in the units. But look here, I have 1, 2, 3, 4. So these are going to get bundled together, and they're going to make 1 more in our next place value. And then if I look here, I have 1, 2, 3, 4. So now these are going to be bundled together, and I'll actually have 1 in the next place value, which I didn't draw a column for, so I have to squeeze it in. So that means I have 1 here, I have nothing left here, I have nothing left here, and 2 here. So the answer would be 1002 base 4. So 132 base 4 plus 210 base 4 equals 1002 base 4. So again, the nice part is I don't have to do any conversions, so everything just stays in base 4, which is really, really nice. Okay, so let's look at an example where we multiply now. Okay, so now let's look at some multiplication. We have 22 base 4 times 3 base 4. So here we just need 3 groups of 22. So I have no mats, and I have 2 strips and 2 units. And so I'm just going to make 3 groups of that, okay? 3 groups of 22. So here's my first group, here's my second group of 22, and here's my third group of 22. Okay, I just took 22 3 times. Okay, I have 3 22s here. So again, since I'm in base 4, I'm going to look for groups of 4 that I need to bundle together. So if I look at my first place value, I say, oh, I have a group of 4 here. So that's going to be bundled together. All right. And I gain another 1 in my next place value. And then I'm going to say, oh, I have another group of 4 here. 1, 2, 3, 4. That gets bundled, and that gives me 1 in my next place value. Okay, so then when I look at what I have left, anything that hasn't been bundled, I have 1 here, I have 1, 2, 3 here, and I have 1, 2 here. So this is, the answer here is 132 base 4. Okay. So that would be my answer. So some of you might like to do this with manipulatives. That's fine. You might like to do it with unit strips and mats. That's fine. I find that a bit more tedious. I think place value cards are really quick and easy just to make those circles and see what's happening and circle and make the exchanges. Some of you might even like to do it algebraically, like you might do 22 times 3, right? 3 times 2 is 6, but I know that I can only take groups of 4, so that means that I'm going to have 2 left over here, and then I'm going to have an extra over here. And so some of you might like to do it that way. If you get that, if that's easy for you, that's wonderful, and you can absolutely try it algebraically. That to me is not as intuitive as doing it this way when I'm dealing with different bases, okay? So whatever works for you is fine by me, okay? Let me know if you have any questions, but the more you do these, the easier it will become. You'll start to notice the patterns. You'll start to get really, it'll start to become easier and easier. Just make sure you practice and reach out if you have any questions, but I think you guys will do really well with this. Okay, bye.